Welcome to our weekly Mitzvah Shabbos program. This week, Tuesday, is Yud Beis Tammuz, the Chag HaGeula, and the Yom Huledes of the Frierdiker Rebbe, the Rebbe Rayatz. Yud Beis Tammuz is also the yortzeit of Rabbi Nissen Mindel, Nissen ben Yankiv Yitzchak, the masker of the Rebbe. He was born Beis Nissen, the day of the Istalkus of the Rebbe Rashab, and he passed away Yud Beis Tammuz, the Chag HaGeula of the Frierdiker Rebbe. Meaning his entire life, he was given over to the Rabbi. So the Neshamas al-Homan Aliyah, v'kitzu v'ran l'sheich l'ofer v'hu b'seicham. He was übergegeben zum Rebbe. He was very modest. Rabbi Mindel was a modest person. Unbelievers, no fuss. Emissar, he was very talented. He knew Chassidus, he knew Nigle. He translated the Tanya in English. And the Frierdiker Rebbe Bedavke wanted him to do it, only him. And as if you look in the English Tanya, in the Hagdama, in the introduction, the Rebbe writes that, I don't remember the Lashon, that hundreds of years people tried to translate the Tanya, and they couldn't until Nissen Mindel came, and he did it. That's what the Rebbe writes in the Hagdama of the English Tanya. I think the last two paragraphs there. You see it. So you see what kind of person Rabbi Mindel was. So Yud Beis Tammuz is his yortzeit. Now, as I mentioned many times, he wrote notes throughout the years of the Rebbe. He was a Baal Mesuder. He wrote every time he came home, he wrote notes. So I found two notes that he wrote, and this was on Yud Beis Tammuz. So I want to share this with you. Somebody asked the Rebbe, why does the Rebbe write to Ela Vosik v'chosid? The Rebbe sometimes writes letters, Vosik v'chosid. Why Vosik? So the Rebbe writes that, and to him, Vosik means Vosikin. Vosikin means people, people daven Vosikin. They go to shul early. Vosik, as he should go to shul like a Vosik early, and he should go out like a Chosid. Shuls, people should go like a Vosik and a Chosid. Now, by the way, this guy who wrote, he had a shtibel. He had a shtiblach. Now, I don't know, he mentioned over this, shtiblach, why is a shul called a shtibel? Why shtibel? A shul, why shtibel? Because in Poland, shtiblach means a shtub. A shtub means a home. So he writes to Rebbe, a person should have two homes. One is regular home, and one, the shul, is the second home. He comes home from work, he eats, he learns with his children, and what does he do? Then he goes to the shtibel to learn. He goes to his second house, because that's why I guess the Rebbe answered about Vosik v'chosid. I'm not sure, but this is what it is. Another thing he wrote on Yud Beis Tammuz. There's a person that always asked him, Rabbi Mindel. He asked Rabbi Mindel. I wrote to the Rebbe many times, and the Rebbe doesn't answer. When you go into dictation, do me a favor. Ask the Rebbe why he doesn't answer me. Now, Rabbi Mindel never ever did he ever use personal yonim. When he came in, he did his work, and that's it. If he had to write personal, he always wrote a letter. But he asked him so much, he begged him. He says, do me a favor, I'm waiting for an answer. And the Rebbe doesn't answer. So Rabbi Mindel asked the Rebbe that this person wrote many times, and the Rebbe didn't answer. So the Rebbe said to him, Bezeh HaLoshon, du bist doch a maskir, hast doch mir gedav der Monen. You're a secretary, so why didn't you remind me? Next day, this person, this Chosid, got an answer. So Rabbi Mindel saw that, he never he should remind the Rebbe. But since the Rebbe said that, so something always bothered him, and he always wanted to know. What bothered him, the Rebbe always used to say, Odom la'omal yulod. It says Odom la'omal yivolid. Why does the Rebbe say Yulad? It bothered him. All the letters, many letters. The Rebbe writes Yulad. So the Rebbe says, it bothered me. Why did the Rebbe use the word? So the Rebbe gave a big smile. That's what he told me. And that's it. He didn't answer him. I wanted to share this thing. Now, L'Kovid Yud Beis Tammuz, I want to share a very ikadike, a very essential letter about learning Chassidus. Why we have to learn Chassidus. This is all from the Rebbe. Now, talking about that, I want to mention something. Lately, I saw online, and people had called me, people that from my Talmidim, literature Talmidim, about the debate of some lecturers or some speakers, Chabad. Does the Eibishter need our mitzvahs? Or the mitzvahs are good for us? Or the Eibishter? This one says like this one says like this. The truth is they're both right. But it's a whole debate, and they go into philosophy about the Eibishter. Now, I want to say something here. The Rebbe says, that it says in Pirkei Avos, Chachamim nizharu b'divreim. Chachamim have to be careful what they say. Now, I have a question. But truth is, who cares? Who cares whether the Eibishter does good for the Eibishter or does good for us? Who cares? And why discuss these things? Why should we talk about it? If this brings Sfeikis and Emunah, which people tell me it does, if you speak to people that are intellectual people, a group, fine. Then it's. But when people speak for the world, and Anoshim Pshutim, they do mitzvahs, and now they have Sfeikis because of that. Now, to learn Chassidus is good. And the Chassidus, the Rebbe goes into it, the Frierdiker Rebbe, Rebbe Rashab, no problem. But when a person says his own opinion, that's the problem. Who says he's right? And when you say your own opinion, you bring, there's Sfeikis in Emunah. The Rebbe said, Naaseh v'nishma, do a mitzvah. V'nishma, automatically you'll understand. Do mitzvahs. That's what we have to speak about. We know the Frierdiker Rebbe. Remember, they asked him, he was sitting there, interrogation. Are you convinced you're frumkeit? Or you're doing God's habit? So the Rebbe said, I'm convinced. So they said that to the Frierdiker Rebbe. So convince us also. So Frierdiker Rebbe said, do the mitzvah first. Put on film. You'll learn. You'll know, and then you'll learn. But speak about mitzvahs is the ikir. And B'chlal, who cares if that brings Sfeikis and Emunah? I don't know if that's a good thing. And besides, the Rebbe answers this question, B'chlal. If we learn the letters, and if we learn all the Rebbe's and the Rebbe Rashab's we have inside, bring sources. I once mentioned this from the Rebbe. It's a whole Maaseh, but I'm going to say B'kitzer. The Rebbe said to Rabbi Mindel once, you should be like a bee, not like a spider. Why? What does a spider do? A spider makes a web. The web comes from inside the spider. What does a web do? A web traps and it kills it. It harms, kills flies. A web doesn't accomplish anything. It makes it even worse. Honey comes from a bee. Honey doesn't come from a bee. The bee goes around collecting nectar and it makes honey. If honey would come from a bee, honey would be treif, because the bee is treif. So the Rebbe says, be like a bee. Whatever you talk, you say, go collecting. Go to look in Musas for him. Look in Maimorim. Look in Niglas for him. Look in all kinds for him. And then you'll be able to talk and say what it says. Not like a spider. not things that come from yourself. Sometimes people say their own sforis, their own philosophy, and it became like they say, and I don't know if it's right. There's so much to learn that the Rebbe gave us that we can have from letters, from everything. So we should be like a bee, not like a spider. So the same thing also I say over here. Why am I saying this? Even the Rebbe said, even the Alter Rebbe, when he wrote the Tanya in the Sharblat, he says, it's not like I didn't come from me. The Rebbe says, Melukot mipisforim umipisoifrim g'doylei elyoin. I gathered from different sforim. It's not mine. Even the Alter Rebbe, from the Shalach Kodesh, from the Baal Shem, from the Arizal. But people should know that it became sometimes lately that people say their own Gedanken and there's no source for it. And it has to be, everything we say must say, I saw here and here. Not Ogin. Why am I saying this today? Because there is a letter from the Rebbe here. They spoke also about learning Chassidus. So each one has their own the speakers, their own, why you have to learn Chassidus, and they think why. Let's see what the Rebbe says. The Rebbe, this is Torah. This is Emes Torah. This is Torah Misinai. Why should we go and speak about our own our philosophy? Now let me do this letter. And that's why I want to do this letter today, to show you what the Rebbe says, why we have to learn Chassidus. It's a must. So a person asks the Rebbe, why you have to learn Chassidus? And he says to the Rebbe, I have the letter. If I need to know what to do, I look in Shulchan Aruch or Gemara. Why do I have to know what's doing in Atzilus or what's doing in the other world? Why do I have to know that for? So some speakers they explained why they have to know Atzilus. The Rebbe doesn't say that. I'm telling you what the Rebbe says. And I think if it bothers people, if it bothers this person, I'm sure other people want to know, why do we have to learn Chassidus? So the Rebbe answers like this. Now I'm going to read to you. Even in science, if a person wants to know if it works, he has to try every angle to know if it works. And if every angle works, and if it fits, that's the angle he will use. The same thing, we have to see if Chassidus works. And then we can talk about why we have to learn Chassidus. And why it's important to learn Chassidus. And why we shouldn't learn Chassidus. And then the Rebbe continues saying, all from the Rebbe, we see Jews who lived in Russia under terrible conditions, the Russian regime, and when the Iron Curtain fell, and we saw many Jews left, they went out of Russia. It became clear that the only Jews who kept Torah mitzvahs properly were the Jews that learned Chassidus, and who came from Chassidish homes. They remained faithful. They practiced Yiddishkeit. So that we can establish that Chassidus works. That's number one. That's the answer, number one. So you have to learn this because Dafke, those people remained firm. So that's number one. Then the Rabbi says, where api halacha? The person asks, why api halacha? Where does it say in Shulchan Aruch that there's a chiyuv to learn Chassidus? So the Rebbe writes, there are 613 mitzvahs. Not every mitzvah a person can keep of the 630 mitzvahs. I mean, for example, there's a Shemitah. Shemitah is only in Eretz Yisrael. Only once 7 years. There's Pidyon Haben. Not every person. If a child is a Bchar, he has to keep Pidyon Haben. And some mitzvahs are for men, some are for women. And many mitzvahs are once a year, like Pesach, Shavuos, Sukkot. Shabbos is once a week. This is all of the 630 mitzvahs. But we don't have to, not everybody, not you all the time. Some for men, some for women, some mitzvahs for daytime, some nighttime. But there are 6 mitzvahs that a person has to do 24 hours a day. Men, women, young, old, day, night, every single day of his lifetime, of her lifetime. And how does a person know how to do it? Only by learning Chasidus. There's no other way. Without Chasidus, you cannot know how to do these 6 mitzvahs. It says you should do it. And it says when and what. But how is only Chasidus. What are they? So we all know the 6 mitzvahs, Tmidius, to believe in one God. Only Chasidus tells you. Chasidus explains to you how to believe in God. Learn inside. And don't bring your own thoughts. Learn what the Rebbe says. Bring a source. Not to believe in any other gods. Achdus Hashem, to confirm His unity. To love Hashem. To fear Hashem. Not to go astray after temptations. Temptation of your heart and vision. How do you know how to do the mitzvahs? Only by learning Hasidus, the Rebbe says. And the 6 mitzvahs need intellectual preparation. By learning a Maimer, by learning Hasidus, the Tanya, this will tell you. And it's not enough just learning, but you have to do the mitzvahs. Do Naseh, then it will become Nishma. And you can't find this anywhere else. But a person might ask, the Rebbe says, why do I have to learn Chassidus? I'll try myself to find it. I have Seichel, and I will try myself to learn all these things myself. Why do I have to learn Chassidus? I'll find it, I'll try. So the Rebbe answers him, why do you have to maybe you won't be able to find it. In Musar, maybe you won't be able to find it yourself. And besides, if you want to find it in Musar, learn Chassidus, because Musar is the Chassidus. So why do you have to struggle to find? It's ready. There's a Shulchan Aruch. There's a Tanya. There's Maimorim. There's a Likutei Torah. Learn, take from there. That's already included. Why should you work hard, the Rebbe says? Then the Rebbe explains, what does it mean to believe in God? He says, the Rebbe says one mashal. A child also believes in God. An adult believes in the Eibishter. But an adult believes different than a child. A child he imagines God, the Rebbe says here, like a big person. A child. What's God? Like a big person. Strong person. He has a big hand. He's taller than my father. If he wants to destroy the world, he takes a match, he destroys the world. A person looks at the moon much different, because he learns more. How do we know more? He gets older. He doesn't want to stay on the same level. He wants to grow. How? By learning Chassidus. And that gives a mashal. Let's say Reuven tells somebody a certain philosophy that he has, and he wants to explain to understand better. And the man says, no, I don't want to listen. I know mine. Doesn't make sense. So you see, he learns Chassidus, and Chassidus will tell you, Ein oid milvadei. How? By learning Chassidus. And when the people speak, they should bring a source, whatever they say. It's very important. How to fear God, how to love God. And the 6th mitzvah l'mashal. V'lo yisasuru. And not to go astray after temptations. Doesn't mean you shouldn't look on things you're not allowed to. That everybody knows. But you have to train yourself. By learning Chassidus, the Rebbe says, you train yourself how to do Veloisa Suru. I mean, I don't want to go into more. That was easy more. So when you look at the world, you look different by learning Chassidus. When you put on green glasses, the world is green. When you put on blue glasses, the world is blue. The world is not green. The world is not blue. Depends how you look at the world. And when a Yid that learns Chassidus, the way he's supposed to learn Chassidus, that then he will, not only that will strengthen his emunah, not have tzveikis in emunah, strengthen his emunah. And that's the only way to overcome this world. Now is by learning Chassidus. We see it open right now. Who are Chassidim? What the Chassidim do? Everything they do. You even ask a guy, the Rabbi once mentioned. What's a Chassid? He probably has four pair tefillin. He has 4 pair tzitzis. More. That's what Chassidus did in this world. Even the Vilna Gaon, the Rebbe says here, says you have to learn Chassidus, learn Kabbalah. So the whole world, you see different. There's once on my side I told him, and I'm going to finish off with that. Somebody once came from Russia, old Chassid. So a young man wanted to show him Manhattan. He wanted to show him, how beautiful buildings, beautiful offices, how Manhattan. This Russian from Russia, a Chassid, never saw it like that. He wanted to impress him, so he took him to Manhattan and showed him big buildings. Look at the beautiful buildings. Look at this beautiful thing. Look at this office. Look at this. And the Chassid was like, he didn't get this ball. So he says, oh, these are psailis from Malachim. Malachim, the angel made. So this is, so he saw the beautiful building. And he saw this is psailis from Malachim. Depends. If you learn Chassidus, you look at the world different. Or whatever. Anyways, there's much more here. There's more to the letter, but they have no time. And the Mitzvah Hashem, next week we'll continue. And this gives a clarkheit a little bit that people should do not eigene Sachen. The Rebbe has all answers for everything. And they shouldn't debate because there is answers. Thank you.